We have progressed from the 2010s to the 2020s. Finally, a Lenovo meets Geek House Dark Mode. And we have some work to do with this thing.
The wacky world of MultimediaJay.
It's Friday, blah 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 Friday. Okay, that joke was old back when we did it for the first time in 2016. It has been over 5 years since a Lenovo weekend 2016, and the Lenovo has returned to the Geek House. I think it is aged gracefully in some ways. However, it is still a Lenovo. Well, I guess you could say it's a Lenovo, definitely. But, okay, enough jokes with the whole a Lenovo thing. Let's get to it. So, if you weren't here in 2016 when we set this machine up for Dad, this is a Haswell-era Core i3 Lenovo H505 ENUS. Haha, Enos. Made a big joke about that, but I think it means English US. Why it took me years to figure that out, I don't know. I guess I focused more on the computers themselves than the model numbers. So this Lenovo was what I picked up from my dad because it had relatively standardized parts, except for the motherboard connector and stuff like that, back in 2016 when the machine you now know as the E-Machine started showing signs of a failing hard drive. It has now been over 5 years, so we have to wonder about the hard drive in this thing, and at the very same time, Windows 10 getting more bloated, and everything else getting bigger and whatnot, and demanding more resources, has probably made this machine a lot more sluggish, even than it previously was, because it is still running a mechanical drive. We didn't upgrade it to an SSD back in 2016 because we didn't want to void the warranty. The warranty on this thing is long gone, so we don't have to worry about voiding anything, now do we? Let's pop this thing open, get all the dust out, and let's get this upgraded for him, so finally, after all these years, my dad can see what the hoopla is about when it comes to solid-state drives. We can still keep the hard drive in this thing for, like, data storage. Using drives as data drives doesn't put anywhere near as much wear and tear on them as running an OS and stuff along those lines, so yeah, we can keep it around and it'll live out the rest of its life as something he can back up data to. We're going to turn this thing solid state, and we are going to pep this thing up big time, so to speak. Give it a little bit of punch again, even though it is just a Haswell-era Core i3, which means 2 cores, 4 threads. One of those fake quad cores from that lovely era when Intel couldn't count past 4. Whatever.
Epic fail.
Half a watt of standby power draw. Let's see how this thing's doing in its old age. Well, no big fan like the E-Machine. He doesn't use the CD drive in this thing, does he? No, of course not. At least we can actually close the CD drive, unlike on the E-Machine. And there's the hard drive light, looking no worse for the wear, but I'm not seeing anything on the screen, probably because I was using analog last time. Change sources. Should be like Lenovo and stuff. And so the drive is grinding away. Oh, it's on analog right now. No, it should be doing HDMI. Why is it not picking up anything on the HDMI? I have it plugged in. What kind of monitor? I think he uses analog at home. I might have to use analog for this. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, it should be auto-checking the sources. Oh, the hard drive light's doing so. We probably have to use analog video for this. Yeah, I thought so. He uses analog video because he has an old square screen monitor that still uses a D-sub. Well, I guess we'll just have to be stuck in analog mode for this one. But here is the problem with hard drive-based computers when they get a few years on them. Well, I've already waited a couple of minutes just for this thing to start up, and the drive light is solid on. It is just grinding away. Tempted to call these things coffee grinder computers because they grind when you apply power to them. So, yeah, this old Lenovo, we really should have upgraded it to an SSD back then, but it's a different world with SSDs nowadays. So yeah, here's the plan. Everything works right now on the mechanical drive. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull the plug on the mechanical drive's data connection. It'll still get power and stuff, so the computer just won't see it. And we will set up a brand new installation of Windows on an SSD and then transfer his stuff over. We just got to get the boot order right so it boots off the SSD every single time. And then we'll figure out what to do with these drives afterwards. But, yep, the whole time I've been talking, that thing has been churning, and this is what he deals with every time he turns on the computer to do, well, literally anything. And this was the paradox of hard drive computers, is that they got faster, supposedly, but the hard drives would always get slower and just eliminate the advantages of the faster processors and all that other stuff. The old paradox from the 90s and 2000s to an extent, that SSDs fortunately ended in the world of computers. Alright, well, we know it works now, so we'll let it grind away a bit and then we'll just shut it down and we'll get to work on some things here. Grind. Nothing on the screen. Grind. This is as bad as the E-machine. And this has a way newer processor. Grind. Okay, it's been how long? Okay, I saw some flickering there, but still. Grind. And we're off! Literally. That's how long it takes just to shut down the computer. Never mind do anything on it. No. We're putting an SSD in this freaking thing.
Epic fail.
And here we are, over 5 years later, with about 5 years worth of dust, cobwebs, stuff from the cats. I think there's some mice in the old house too, so it's, yeah, well, this isn't too bad actually, probably because it doesn't have any ventilation, or it doesn't have ventilation, it doesn't have any active cooling of any sort except for the power supply. So here's what we're gonna do. Let's get this thing off. Let's clean off the dust from the heat sink that's under, that gets stuck between the fan and the other thing. So we'll get that all taken care of. And what do we have for ports? Oh, good. We have one more serial ATA on the motherboard that we can use for a data connection. There's the hard drive, and it's this back plate where you mount all your drives. So we have to figure out where to put the SSD. We do have a bracket for it to go from 2.5 to 3.5. So, if you were upgrading the hard drive in one of these Lenovos with this weird bracket thing, how would you put it in? Mystery of the night. Reason numero uno why you want to do this every so often instead of just dusting out the computer. This is the stuff that gets caked between the fan and the heat sink. So, get the vacuum over here for Pete's sake, we're gonna need it. There we go. I think that's more in line with what this sort of stuff is supposed to look like. Now let's get our upgrade materials ready to go. We interrupt this computer tinkering for a special honorable mention. These vacuum attachment things that are supposed to be used to help you vacuum out dryer lint, with this little tiny thing, yeah, they whistle a bit from their shape, but they're actually really good for vacuuming dust out of computers, too. So, I got this to vacuum dryer lint out of hard-to-get-at places. I'm using it for computers. I don't think I've used this for dryer lint just yet. Yeah, it fits over the existing vacuum hose, and then you have this. So, alright, back to the computer. Here's our new toys. Oh yeah, we're not getting him crap. No way. Samsung 870 EVO, 500 gig. It's not M2, but it's not a mechanical drive either. Old school serial ATA SSD should add plenty of punch to this old i3, and a 2.5 to 3.5 bracket to get it to fit in the existing hard drive setup, that plate thing inside the case. And this will be my dad's first experience with what we nerds call a transferable upgrade. If he ever gets another computer that doesn't have an SSD, this can go with him into the new system. And we'll cross that bridge when we get to it, if we get to it. Now, if we still gotta see how the Windows 10 to Windows 11 thing sifts out here. There's one more thing, though. this thing only has 4 gigs of RAM, which is basically borderline for something like 64-bit Windows 10. I'm throwing this in all on my own. An extra 4 gigs from Crucial, which doesn't cost very much these days. And we're going to be tinkering with this computer while these people who think their car is fast because they can redline the engine going 25 miles an hour downtown roads are pretending they're actually cool. Hope there isn't too much noise, but I want to be able to call him sometime before him and my stepmother go to bed to let him know that he can come down tomorrow. We can set up all his accounts on everything. Yeehaw! Yeah, listen to that crap. These are little country roads. These people aren't going faster than 25 miles an hour. They're not at a drag strip, unless they're practicing for going to the drag strip and pretending they're in slow-mo.
Epic fail.
Well, I think most of you folks who do this stuff have probably already seen all this stuff before. Samsung SSD still says, I'm an SSD on it. Sabrent thing, I'm guessing this bow thing right here is where it's supposed to go into the machine, and the cable should come out this side. So there's 2 sets of holes here. So what I think I'd like to do, even though we could squeeze 2 SSDs into one of these brackets, I'm actually going to mount this up in the air, so that way there can be airflow all around the sides of the SSD as it operates. We're talking about a case that is very airflow challenged, so whatever space we can get. Of course, you could also make the case that against the metal, this would act as a heat sink, but I don't know at this point. We'll just see how it operates. Not going to go down splitting hairs with stuff like this. Let's mount the SSD into the bracket. There we go, not too bad. I kind of tossed that idea of putting it on the second level because this thing is just so cool. Literally cool. I'm thinking heatsink for this. See if it'll draw heat away. I don't have the heatsink compound to help with that, plus there's a label on the bottom. But, I don't know. Am I really splitting hairs here? I don't know. How is it going to fit into the Lenovo? Nope, it has to be elevated, and there's a very specific reason why. The only holes on the bottom that line up with this plate inside the computer mean that the plugs are going to be way back there. Do I want to be jamming serial ATA cables against the metal to plug in the SSD? Absolutely not. So, airflow solution it is. It's just a matter of the the attempt to make stuff that's mechanically compatible with, well, all kinds of designs out there. I'm not even going to bother taking this thing out because I don't have to. Let's just see if we can get some cable ties in here so that you can have some actual cable management in this thing, other than that lonely zip tie up here. There's a tie point right there, so we could probably put everything together over there. We got to figure out how the cables are going to work, though, because I'm probably going to need another serial ATA cable for the additional drive. Oh yeah, that's another thing that I wasn't thinking about. We're using the middle plug in the power circuit, and we don't want to bend the wires. It's kind of cool though, you know, we don't need the zip tie here anymore because the plugs serve as the cable management for this, and then it goes down to the mechanical drive on the bottom. So what we're going to do, we're going to take the serial ATA for data, we're going to plug it into the SSD, and we're going to set up Windows 10. Then afterwards, we'll just figure out how we're going to just grab another serial ATA to plug the mechanical drive in, get the boot order correct, and then Dad can decide, you know, if he wants to blank this out or if he just wants to leave it in as a backup. I will have the drive get power, though, so that way it doesn't, you know, sit there cold and not spinning. So it does need to warm up every so often. But let's see here. How's that looking? Let's see. I'm not so keen on these... I'm not so keen on these cables touching the fins of heat sinks. Was this originally over here? I don't know. Either way, AVC, good to go. We could always just unravel it a bit and just zip tie it to this. I do have some cable ties. Just gotta dig them out and use them. Oh, and since this is the final upgrade for this thing, I hope, let's max the RAM into that empty slot there, bringing it up to 8 gigs, putting it on par with the original AMD Phenom 2 1090T Tuxedo with its 8 gigs of RAM back in 2010. All this time and all this stuff just to catch my dad up to where I was at the beginning of the last decade, never mind this one, but I still think he will notice the performance difference. SK Hynix, meet Crucial Micron. USA! USA! Alright, enough messing around. Let's apply power to this beast. 8 gigs of RAM and SSD and no operating system. Alright, I just want to make sure it doesn't flip out with some kind of memory error. Let's see. There we go! No operating system found. Boot sequence will automatically repeat. Alright, here we go. Let's find the, let's get that Windows 10 disk, because the last thing I did with the e-machine was Windows 10 64. Let's put it on this puppy. Boot sequence will automatically repeat. Let's see about that. Now we're going to use that optical drive. You can't even see the light when it's doing the access thing. Let me just pop this open. There we go. Is it even going to boot off of the CD, or do I have to select it from some kind of menu? Try number 2. I'll bet any money this is one of those 2010s computers that blows off the DVD drive and boots off of the hard drive no matter what. Lenovo. Oh, we got Lenovo this time. Okay, and I hear the drive doing something. We gonna get the error message, or are we gonna get press any key to boot from the CD? Yes, please. They're gonna have fine print. I'm not gonna be staring at that, am I? This Lenovo image is probably flashed in the BIOS or something. I wonder if there was a BIOS update for this thing. I don't know. So here's what we do. No bloatware, clean Windows 10 install, get all the crap that Microsoft gives you off of it, set him up with the basic email stuff that he uses, Chrome and Firefox given the current controversial state of Firefox, Glare Utilities, and Lenovo Vantage for Lenovo-specific system updates. If it'll run on regular Windows 10 instead of the one that came with the computer. We shall see. Now, how long is it going to take for the CD? Is it even doing anything with the CD? Oh yeah, I see some activity there. It's just too bad Lenovo, didn't take into account nerds like myself who would want to see that the disc was actually doing something. But this is 2016 we're talking about. People were joking about CDs being obsolete even back then. Alright, a generic Windows install. I just hope that it has 64-bit Windows on it. So we'll just set this up here. Oh, there it goes. Spinning up. And, yeah, there we go. It should be Windows 10 64-bit going out of this SSD. Brand new SSD. You've seen this before. Unallocated space. Let's see here. Of course, the CD is going to be the throttle for this, but already, just from being surprised by all of this being at the stage that it's at already, just goes to show we are definitely not dealing with the e-machine anymore. We are dealing with a processor that actually has some cores. It may have been a crappy computer all those years ago, but it's better than the crappy computer from even many, many more years ago. Oh, what a long, strange night it has been. Most of everything is up and running, but I basically had to come back to the hard drive to retrieve a few things before we start copying his files over. I decided to run CrystalDiskMark Shizuku Edition, and the performance is very similar to what it was in 2016, so it's not that the drive has gotten slower, it's that the mechanical drive is a mechanical drive and it sucks. And then combine that with Windows getting more bloated over the past couple of years and all that stuff, and it's pretty easy to see why I feel so terrible coming back to a hard drive. Anybody who would use a computer with a mechanical hard drive as their main system these days wants to be frustrated at their computer. Full stop. And these are today's numbers. He is going to be genuinely surprised when he sees the difference in speed from upgrading this drive. This machine now does everything that he would need it to do. We just gotta copy his files over now. So, that'll be the last thing that the hard drive slows way the heck down. There we go. I think we're good to go, and he is going to be surprised at just how much snappier this system is now. Went in with some loose-fitting zip ties to serve as cable wrap points and stuff like that, since we got those things in the side panel for it. But yeah, the RAM slots are all full, the processor's been cleaned out, and we have an SSD in there. Once he confirms, I think this is just got to straighten that plug out there. Once he confirms that everything is the way he wants it, then we can turn that old system drive into a data drive that he can back up his data to. I don't know. I really don't know at this point. It's just the sort of thing where, well, I really don't know what to say. He really doesn't have use for more than one drive. He might just tell me to take the mechanical drive out. But in case he doesn't, let's put the cover back on this thing. No more standby power draw either. I found the settings for ERP power save mode on this thing. So, here's the kind of difference that he's looking at. We went from mechanical drive to SSD, and we know from the tests that the mechanical drive hadn't gotten slower over the years, it's just that everything else had gotten bigger, or should I say, I'm a little too used to SSDs to go back to a hard drive and have that be a smooth experience. Here's the experience he's gonna have now. Fire it up. Lenovo. A little bit of swirly on the bottom, because I did turn off quick boot because it can glitch things. And just like that, boom. Now that's what an SSD can do for an old Lenovo system. Not showing his username and password, obviously, but once we hit enter after the password, watch the color change. Boom! He's in! That's the kind of sign-on speed that this guy's gonna have. And he will see this before this video goes to YouTube. So yeah. He is gonna be so surprised. Now remember how long it took for the system to shut down with the mechanical drive? We just went grind, grind, grind. Well, first the light's actually blinking. Oh wait, it's already off. SSDs, ladies and gentlemen. SSDs. Okay, let's have some fun. It's Jay's Geek House. We gotta put UserBenchmark on this thing even though it's gonna suck. No graphics. We're running off of integrated graphics on this thing, so yeah, I got what, 5 frames per second Unigine Valley or something? Maybe 10 if we were lucky. Alright, yeah, the graphics. Yeah, what can this Intel graphics do these days? I gotta say though, this thing is very, very snappy. So for basic email and stuff, he is absolutely going to be surprised. Especially when he thinks about all those years where, you know, he put up with the mechanical drive in this thing just chugging along. And then he'd go like, oh, I want to look up coupons at the supermarket online. And, you know, the thing would just drag just opening the web browser. He's going to be very, very surprised. And I'm going to have a very, very smart-ass I told you so moment with this guy, because I've been telling him for years. I started using SSDs in the 2010s, 2011 specifically, and I haven't looked back. And there's a reason why I haven't looked back. Smartphones technically have SSDs with their onboard storage. I mean, the world has just gone solid state, whether we like it or not. So let's see. This is a drive reading, blah, 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 blah. Alright, you ready? Slideshow time. Yeah, integrated graphics on a Core i3 Haswell from the middle of the last decade. Bada freaking bing. Is it gonna make me do skill bench with like 5 frames per second? Oh, 3, 2, and 4. The sad part is that, you know, computers like this wouldn't even be built anymore. It's just the AMD Ryzen has just brought, you know, integrated graphics back into the forefront with this. Oh, we're actually gonna play skill bench. All right, well, we're getting like 20 frames a second. 4. Here we go. All right. Terrible with one hand, and I don't have a very good frame rate. I don't care. I'm gonna get the worst accuracy in the world just to keep it interesting. Are we done yet? Got it. You had terrible accuracy and 5 frames. 20 frames a second. Well, that's not that bad. Tree trunk, gunboat, tree trunk. And nobody should be surprised. 2.47% is too low to play 3D games that use CAD packages. General computing tasks don't require PC graphics. Despite its good single-core performance, this processor is not appropriate for workstation use due to its relatively weak multi-core performance and the suitability for 3D gaming is average. Tree trunk, gunboat, tree trunk. This might be getting a little redundant at this point, but this machine is ready for prime time. And my dad is absolutely going to be surprised when he sees how good it runs. Well, it's great to finally catch him up to where I was in the early part of the last decade, in the early part of this decade. But yeah, shut right down, just like that. He is gonna be surprised, and I think I'm gonna have him in the driver's seat when he checks out what happened to, hey, Lenovo, how you doing? Well then, this has been a Lenovo Solid State Edition. Alright then, let's see how much he likes this thing. Definitely can say, if you have a computer that still runs an old-fashioned hard drive and you think it's slow, try an SSD first before junking it. Unless it is something ridiculous, like, say, rubbish or something. Till next time, this is MultimediaJay, signing off. Thanks for stopping by.